Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Brandon. Welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find latest album reviews. You can find our band interviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. We're going to be doing a ton of live video stuff in the coming weeks. Plenty of awesome tours coming near my area, so I will be getting videos of that and plenty of interviews as well. So definitely stoked on that. I will also be doing a ton of album reviews towards the end of this month. There's a bunch of great records coming out, so I'm really excited about that. So if you enjoyed any of that, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit the thumbs up. It really does go a long way, and it helps you keep notified of when things go on with audio addiction. So tonight we're going to be talking about the Plot and Use new record, Dispose.
Nothing for you. Feel nothing for you.
So I've been an on again, off again fan of the Plot and You. I remember like their first record, Wife Beater, was really good, and then they followed that up with Could You Watch Your Children Burn? And then they did Firstborn was in there between, I think it was between Wife Beater and Could You Watch Your Children Burn? And then they released more recently Happiness and Self Destruction, and then this is their most recent release. But I've been kind of like, off the train about them. I've seen them many times live, and I think that Landon is such a great vocalist, and I think I think just the band does a really great job live. I really haven't seen them play bad. But I was really excited about this record. I listened to the singles, and I know that a lot of people weren't particularly the biggest fan of the new Plot and You and things of that nature, and there's a lot of people that did enjoy it just because they went over to Fearless now. And I just wanted to kind of go through the record, give you my thoughts and opinions on each track, and then I'm going to go through some pros and cons on the record as a whole, and then I'm going to end it off with an overall rating. So the first track is called Rigged. This one starts off pretty ambient. It really kind of kicks in with Landon's vocals around the 30-second mark of the track, and I feel like this kind of sets up the rest of the record. It has more of an electronic presence, I would say more so than previous records, without a doubt. I think that they really kind of went through a style change into the last record. I know Happiness is and Self Destruction is one of those records that a lot of people kind of base the Plot and Use kind of new or older stuff off of, and I know that record is held in high regards for most Plot fans. But this one starts off really unique and really different. It really kind of has a 50-50 mix of cleans and screams from Landon. But I would say that the drumming takes the forefront of this track. Is when you're listening to this one, I feel like the drums kind of just hit you and have that sort of pounding presence to them. No pun intended there, but I think it really just kind of drives the track and really makes it just sound really heavy and really meaty, and I love it. Definitely one of the heavier sort of styled tracks. I mean, it's not really like heavy like in the sense of like breakdowns or anything, but it's definitely heavy like instrumentally. I think the drums kind of have this sort of echo and pound to them. So definitely one of my favorite tracks off the record. And we'll move it into track number 2, which is Just Breathing. I don't remember which ones were the singles. I know that they released one as of yesterday, Valentine's Day, but I think they had released at the time when I'm recording this, I think they released at least 3 or 4 of the tracks off the record, and I think this is one of them. I think Landon really has some great cleans. I feel like it's definitely the highlight of the track, more specifically in the chorus. I really enjoyed that. It really hit kind of its high point in the chorus. I feel like in a comparison to his vocals, I feel like the instrumentals are a little bit bland on this track. And after the starting track, Rigged, I'm a little disappointed in the fact that it doesn't have that sort of presence to it. And I thought they were kind of starting off on a good note. But I would say that the focus kind of shifts to more of the electronics and kind of like the new layers that they added into the tracks. I think it is a really solid track, but I feel like it is executed poorly. I think that it could be done much better. I would love to hear, and I'll hear it, and I'll kind of elate it later on in the review. But I feel like there is a point where they're kind of shifting into a new musical direction, and I feel like a lot of the tracks should kind of fall in that same dynamic, and not to kind of lose the heavy aspects that I and a lot of other people associate the plot and use sound to be. So I don't mind the change, but I also love to kind of have that sort of balance of both. And so I feel like this one kind of lacks in that department. But we're going to move into track number three, which is One Last Time. I appreciate the usage of string. I think they use it towards the intro and they use it definitely in the closing parts. And I think partially or a good amount in the bridge of this song. But I'm loving the parallels between the screams and cleans of Landon, especially in this track. And he also kind of rides the line between kind of a yell and some like gritty vocals, which is really nice. But I feel like a lot of these tracks have this sort of space to it, and they're not trying to cram a lot into it, which again I think goes without saying with a lot of the new sound that they're going for. I would definitely say that that is something at the forefront of that. It almost even has a sort of happy vibe in terms of the instrumentals, which is a bit weird because I know them for being a very sort of dark band with albums such as Firstborn, Wife Beater. Like their first couple records were really kind of dark lyrically and dark sonically. So it's interesting that they took that direction in this track, and kind of a lot of the tracks off this record. It's not like very, I guess, sad or like angry at all. It's very kind of like neutered in a sense, which isn't a bad thing. I think that considering they're going in a different direction, it makes sense for that. But we're going to move into track number four, which is I've Always Wanted to Leave. This one, actually, they released a music video for this one yesterday. But this one, I feel like focuses more on Landon's vocal range, and just his styling and the way he does things. His cleans just kind of came out of left field for me. Obviously, I haven't been the biggest fan of The Plot and You. I think they're a great band, but I haven't listened to them a ton, and I do like it. I think I would have never expected something kind of this, I guess, soft from Landon and him to express more of his clean side, which is great. I think he's a really good clean singer. And I have listened to On Again, Off Again, his solo stuff as well, so I do know he does do cleaner vocals. But I appreciate the variety so far. There have been some heavy tracks. There have been some more like basic sort of style tracks, and they've had this more softer sort of like emotionally driven track. And I think that that's really nice. And it's been a nice change of pace for Dispose so far to have kind of a softer track to kind of mix it up, change it up, and just to make it unique to this one. I know that a lot of people don't like this one. They kind of feel like that almost they sold out, but I really enjoyed this new styling of this track in particular. I think it's really good. It's definitely one of those tracks that kind of have those, emotional appeal to it, and I really enjoyed this one. So we're gonna move into track number five, which is "Feel Nothing." I know that this one was a single as well, but this one kind of feels like the crossroads between older plot and new plot. Obviously not really as heavy, but it does have those sort of elements of heavier plot and you. I would say more probably in the lines of Happiness and Self-Destruction. But I like how it's constructed, and it kind of just has a great contrast in this track between like melodic parts and heavy parts, which is really nice. I would say that it's accented by the heavier parts in the choruses and more of the softer moments in the verses. But you can hear a lot of the passion behind the words, and I feel like this represents the better part of the Plot and You record, Disposed so far. The piano is a nice addition as well and adds a little bit of depth to the track. And I just like that they're trying different things to kind of, make themselves unique and have a different approach to what's going on. But really enjoyed this one. This one is definitely one of my top ones off this record so far. So we're gonna move into track number six, which is "Happy." This is kind of like an interlude track. It has some really unique vocals takes from Landon with some cool effects on it. But I don't think there's really too much to talk about. It's very self-explanatory, and that's pretty much it for "Happy." So we're gonna move into track number seven, which is "The One You Loved." This one absolutely took me by surprise. It's definitely a 180 from the plot and you, and I know I keep mentioning older stuff, but it's so kind of different from, especially for me, just kind of taking a break from them and not listening to them, and then coming back to this record. It feels very much like a completely different band, which in some cases people can like that and some people don't. But this one is so good. It's structured superbly. I really love it. It's super catchy. The chorus is absolutely infectious, and I love how Landon's vocals kind of transcend this track. And I do appreciate the sort of melodicness and the melodic nature of this track. And the harmonizations and kind of the choruses is really nice. I just feel like it's a super well, solid, constructed track, and it's definitely one of my favorites off the record, without a doubt. It just has this sort of just emotional pull to it, and I think that just it accents Landon's vocals to like the best possible outcome. So we're gonna move it into track number 8, which is "Paid in Full." This one also has a similar vibe to "Feel Nothing." I feel like it kind of blends both the more heavy aspects of plot and the more melodic new sounds of the plot and you. But I also feel like this one is one of the heavier tracks off the record in terms of the more kind of like rock, almost post-hardcore sounds of this track. I also love the strong kind of layers and just electronic influence on this track that kind of bleed throughout the track, and again, kind of combine aspects of older and newer plot. There is this really great breakdown at the 2 minutes and 30-second mark to the 3 minute mark, and it just has this awesome intensity to it. Just kind of hits and just punches in a really unique way. And I definitely say it's one of the better tracks, probably one of the best tracks off the record for sure. So we're gonna move into track number 9, "The Sound." This one also took me by surprise. I feel like it is definitely the black sheep of the record, and I'm totally okay with that. I love the sort of softer, more melodic vibes of this track, and just how vulnerable Landon sounds in this one. I feel like in a lot of these tracks, I just feel like he's very more emotionally in touch with this album than maybe in previous stuff, and it just works out to a really great benefit on this part. There is a really awesome inclusion of horns from 2 minutes and 10 seconds to the end of the track, which again works out very well and kind of lends to the overall sound, no pun intended, of this track. And I just feel like this is something kind of out of bounds, kind of like out of left field for the plot and you. I would have never thought that they would have done something like this in my entire life, and just listening to this band. It's really unique. I would say it's probably the most unique track off the record, and I love the sort of, again, softer vibes of this track. It really works out well in this one. So we're gonna move into the last track, track number 10, which is "Disposable Fix." This one has elements of the entire record, "Dispose." I would say without a doubt. It kind of cherry picks from a lot of different tracks off this record. And I feel like this one, Landon got to express himself more vocally than in previous tracks. There are some really kind of cool lines and melodic runs in this track. The electronics play a bit more of a role in this one as well, especially towards the latter half of the track. And I feel like they did a lot of nice experimentations that kind of, again, play off their more electronic vibes and just the more layers that they had in this record. And there's this really cool change up at the 2 minutes and 15-second mark to the 3 minutes and 10-second mark that really kind of adds this nice fullness and just like cool atmosphere to this track. And I feel like it rounds out the record in a really great way. Again, there was a lot that I didn't expect from this record that kind of took me by surprise. And, there's a little bit of a disappointment in it as well. But overall, I think I really enjoyed it. Some pros that I have on this record: it's very unique. I would say it's far more unique than any record that the plot has done in a while. There is a variable amount of sounds, from kind of heavier stuff to more like chiller, sort of softer vibes. And it kind of pens well between Landon's solo stuff and his plot and you stuff. I feel like it's kind of in that gray area between those two projects that Landon does. I also loved his cleans a lot. I think they were just utilized really well throughout this entire record. I would have loved to hear some more screams, and I think definitely one of the cons I have on this record is that it's not remotely heavy. There are some tracks that kind of have those heavier vibes to it, like I would say Rigged, Feel Nothing, and I'd probably say Paid in Full would probably be the three heaviest tracks off the record. And I would say that some of the tracks have this similarity to it, which I think is a little bit disappointing in the fact that, there are some tracks that kind of stand out, like The Sound, The Ones You Loved. Feel like, and Disposable Fix, I feel like those kind of stand out, and there are some tracks that just kind of have a similarity to them. But overall, I really was taken back by this record. I think it is a really good one. And so my overall rating for the Plot and Use Dispose, I'm going to be giving it a 9.2 out of 10. I think if you're an old fan, I personally don't think you'll like this record. It's kind of too much of a out of left field sort of record for them, and I just don't feel like you'll enjoy it. But if you are a fan of Happiness and Self Destruction, I feel like there are some tracks that you'll love. And if you're a new Plot fan, obviously I think you'll enjoy it. I think it's really a unique record. I would at least give it a listen. I'm not even the biggest fan of The Plot and You, but I thought this was a really unique and kind of interesting record. I would not say it's better than previous work that they've done, but I wouldn't say it's bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think they did a really phenomenal job with it. And just the uniqueness factor of it just makes some of the tracks really memorable. And like I said, some of my favorites are The Sound, the One You Loved. I also feel like I loved You Always Wanted to Leave. That was really interesting, really unique. I just feel like, again, if they can combine the heaviness of older stuff and kind of transcend that new sound into what they do for the next record, I think they'll have an absolute banger on their hands. But I really appreciate the change. I might be in the far few people that enjoyed the change, but it was good. I thought that it was good overall, and it's one that I feel like you should go give a listen. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this record. Would really like to know. Especially for older Plot and You fans, I'd really like to know your thoughts on this record. If you agree with me, if you disagree, I'd love to have a conversation about it. I know that everybody can't be on the same page about this record, but I'd love to know your reasoning behind it. So definitely shoot a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this review, please subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up. I will be doing the Holding Absence and Loathe split. Hopefully that will be going out around the same time, or on the same day as this one does, and tons of interviews, album reviews, and live video to come. So definitely make sure to hit that bell so you get notified of when anything comes up. And like I said, my name is Brandon. We hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com, and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.